Jim Williams with you on the New Mexico Suncast and all part of the NewMexicoSun.com network. We're here with Gail Armstrong. She's a representative, District 49.
Yes, sir.
And you've been serving a long time in the New Mexico legislature.
Yes, sir. I've been here. I'm going into my 9th and 10th year now.
That's awesome. We want to start with your family, but then I want to know how your family's allowed you to do that, because this is hard, and I want you to know that we thank you for serving, because this is not easy.
Well, thank you for that. My representative, who was a former Speaker of the House, Don Tripp, came to me and said, would you consider running? And I said, no, thank you. And then he said, come and work for me. He just so happened he became the Speaker of the House. I got the political bug and was appointed by Governor Susana Martinez in 2017. All my kids were grown and gone. I have 4 children, my husband and I. We've been married 41 years. And we now have 13 grandchildren.
Awesome.
And one of them was just born last week while I was here in the session, the first one that I've ever really missed the birth of. And so part of the sacrifice of, doing a free job and being a public servant. So
tell us about your district. Where do you live and the people around you?
I hail from Magdalena, New Mexico. My husband and I live on a ranch there. We raised our 4 children there. My district pretty much goes from Los Lunas to Hatch, from Mountain Air to Arizona. And so I have the largest house district in the state. So when we talk about miles traveled, I have 125,000 miles on my 2021 vehicle. And I try to get around my district, but it is very rural New Mexico. A lot of dirt roads and very sparsely distributed. The only towns I really have is half of Tier C and Rio communities. The rest is all rural New Mexico.
I love that. Obviously, hey, missing the birth of a grandchild, but you're going to have plenty of time to spend with that grandchild as they're growing up. 13.
Yes. Well, this one's in Montana. So she's my only daughter out of state and son-in-law, and 2 grandkids out of state. The rest are all here and blessed that they are.
What a blessing that is.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, let's transition now into Santa Fe. You're here for 3 more weeks after this date, and there's a lot going on. But maybe I should ask this question. This is really kind of a full-time job, even though you're not getting paid as a full-time employee.
If you do this job correctly, it's a full-time job. My favorite part of the job is solving people's problems and helping them when they can't get a driver's license or need help with insurance or veterans. This is probably my least favorite part of the job, because the trend has shifted so much. We used to, when I was here my first 2 years, we sat down at the table and we had a voice. Right now, it's a little different than that. You're pretty much, things are shoved down your throat, and we play defense a lot.
Being a leader in the House, first woman to have that position, talk about the pressure of that position.
Well, the pressure is not so much as trying to navigate what's coming to the House floor. How can we gather all of our caucus together to support something and use that as leverage? So I meet with the Speaker quite often, and we leverage different things. And I've always told him he's been very fair to me so far and kept his promises. But I will say we're at real game time right now. So we'll see. And I keep telling him communication is key, and let's see how I can help you and how can you help me.
Yeah, that's amazing. 3 weeks left. There's a lot to do in 3 weeks. What's kind of a priority for you?
Well, for me personally, CYFD is always a priority. And then the crime. The people of New Mexico have spoken. Crime is the number 1 issue at the top of everyone's list.
Gail, I'm going to ask you to, that's really important about this interview, but I'm going to actually concentrate on that in our 3rd section, because that's going to be a major feature. We're asking everybody, all the representatives, all the senators, about what they think about crime. So I'm glad that's a big priority. Talk to us a little bit about CYFD. I mean, our foster care system seems to be constantly in a flux.
I'll just tell you what I told the CYFD secretary several times, and God love her. I've told her, I don't want your job, but I want you to do your job. And let me help you fix it. And so we have finally sat down with the governor, sat down with CYFD. This bill has morphed into lots of different things, but I think ultimately what we're focusing on with CYFD is fixing the CARA Act. The CARA Act is when babies are born substance exposed. We do a horrible job, and actually 22 babies have died in New Mexico since we implemented the CARA Act in 2019. It's because there's no teeth in the CARA Act. We do not want to take children away from their parents, but we have so many programs that we can help these parents with to help them get, any addiction, whatever it is. We have programs, and we're not taking advantage of those, and we're not mandating that the parents take part in those programs. I have a fix. We have a fix. New Mexico legislators have a fix for this, and hopefully it gets across the finish line and gets signed by the governor.
And it sounds like when you say legislators, you're talking about both sides of the aisle.
Yes, sir. It's both sides of the aisle. On this is a key issue. I think there was 11 different pieces of legislation for just the CARA Act individually. We're going to throw the whole thing out and start fresh.
Are you expecting opposition?
No, I got a lot of opposition at first. We had more discussions. I did a committee sub on House Bill 343, and it passed unanimously out of the Health Committee, which my first bill failed in there, and I was very mad. I threw my notebook down on the table and stood up, and I said, I guess you guys just want babies to keep dying in New Mexico. And they said, hold on, Representative. Maybe we'll just roll it. We'll give you the chance to fix it. So I fixed it.
What brings that conviction? What makes it so people will finally cooperate and think through this with you?
My personal opinion is that even though I am the leader of the Republican Party on the caucus on the House side, I work really well across the aisle. I'm honest. I'll tell you how it is. I get mad. I forgive, but I don't forget. And so I think they have we kind of have a mutual respect for each other, that we're willing to sit down and everyone realizes that CARA needs to be fixed.
Well, I'm excited. And you think you can get, so you talked about 11 pieces that have kind of been set aside. Do you think you can get all the things, all the features of those bills together in something in 3 weeks?
That's what I did in 343.
Wow.
I got all the pieces for CARA together. I got what the hospitals wanted, what individual legislators saw as a problem. I got what the governor wanted. I got what CYFD wanted. I got what DOH wanted. And now there may be more other representatives that have different opinion. But I think this is the piece of legislation that'll make it across.
I love it. Let's go to crime now. And we don't have enough time to talk about everything. Maybe we should give people a perspective. How many bills do you deal with in 60 days? Are there 1,000?
There's a little over 1,000 this session.
That's a lot of work for 60 days.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. We just voted on some legislation that would bring it to 45 and 45. So we'll see if that changes. It's a joint resolution, so we'll see. But 60 days is a long time, a lot of pieces of legislation. Now, I won't hear every one of those because some will die in committees on the other side. But I bet we probably hear 350 each.
So this morning, the governor made an announcement about some legislation that was, anti-crime, safety related. I've heard about various bills, HB 4, HB 8, that are good, but not quite all that we need. And I guess my question is, why can't we just do all that we need? Because just like taking care of children, which you have a lot of bipartisan support, it seems like safety for all of us might be the same type of topic.
You know, it's really funny. In New Mexico, it kind of seems like we don't have the guts to just say, let's hold people accountable. If a juvenile, I really want the juvenile part of this bill passed. We finally got a hearing in CPAC. Not sure it's on the calendar. And this is Andrea Reeves' bill. And I tried to get it pulled out of there because the chairwoman just wouldn't hear it. But this is the children's code. Sam Bregman, the governor, every single Republican representative and House member believe this is what needs to happen to fix
So
it.
you just mentioned Sam Bregman, prominent Democrat, obviously the governor, and yet you still have opposition.
Yes, sir. I think it all really boils down to not wanting people to go to jail. Well, there's bad enough people, they belong in jail. And if they fall in that category, I'm sorry, that's what has to happen. We can try with juveniles to do some rehab. We saw one arrested the other day and had 4 different charges, and he finally killed someone.
Well, and how many repeat offenders are there?
Right.
I mean, a very large portion of crimes committed are based on repeat offenders, people that have been caught and released.
Right. Well, and children always, the juveniles, nothing really happens to them. And I really don't think that they are scared of committing a major crime because they're really not held accountable.
Mm. What are you looking forward to? Do you feel really good about this crime package and you think that's going to move
No,
forward?
the crime package that passed, ultimately we voted for it. The majority, I think all of us voted for it. It helps. Every piece in there helps, but it's not a crime package. That's more of a behavioral health package, which is what we need that as well. But if you're going to call it a crime package, I think they changed the name of it even. It's not even a crime package anymore. They have a different name for it now. We need a crime package. We need to do real legislation, pass real legislation that's actually going to make a difference.
As soon as the session is over, what will you be doing?
I am flying to Montana probably 3 or 4 days after I get out of the
And
session.
do some grandma stuff.
I'll do my grandma duty and hold that little baby girl named Madeline Gail. She named after her grandma. So
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
thank you.
And literally, I pray God is with you as you go through the next 3 weeks. I would personally have PTSD symptoms from the legislature because I don't know how you do it. I mean, you must have literally a gift to go through it. So thanks for serving.
You're welcome. And, we have to hold on to those little wins that we get every once in a while, get to table a bad bill or kill a bad bill and then think of the end game. You're always thinking out into the future.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.